fucking prostitutes. Let's just get around the bush. Like, fucking prostitutes in Spain, putas, whores in Spain, and I'm trying to ruin his birthday. Show me the fucking logic on that. I'm getting worked up, man. I'm like a mess, crying, so upset. One of my neighbors, I go out to her, I tell her the situation next morning, it's really bad, and she's like, you cannot live like this anymore. Like, you need to get out of here. You need to go get your stuff, pack the bag, and I'm taking you to the domestic violence shelter. This is me. That's what to do. And I was like, okay, let's go. And so I packed a bag, and me and my younger son went to the domestic violence shelter. I was a complete mess. I was really bad, hysterically crying. Like, I was like, I don't know if I'm strong enough to do this. Like, I was terrified. No family, no friends, really. Like, I had a couple people I knew from a course that I had done. Nobody like close that I knew. And thank God for my neighbors, because they've saved my life. Like, anyway, I get to the shelter. I get checked in. They gave me a room. And I'm there with my younger son. And the next night that I got there, and I got a call from my ex. My ex was in the hospital. He was telling me, like, I went out the night after I got upset with him about the escort situation. Supposedly, his friend had left him at the bar that night. And this is a story that my ex gave me, which is all probably bullshit. They're at the bar. My ex wouldn't stop yapping away about me and the situation and the escorts and how I was upset. And so his friend got pissed off and left him there. Convenient, because then he doesn't know what happened. My ex says that, oh, I didn't drink that much. I stayed for a couple more, and then I left. And then the next thing that I know, it's 8 o'clock in the morning, face down on the ground on the sidewalk. My wallet and keys and phone are on the floor, like at the bottom of 4 steps. So it's like 8 o'clock in the morning, right? So you're in the middle of a town. Did nobody see you? Nobody said anything. Nobody called an ambulance because there's a literal man face down on the ground. Like, what he said was that it's a really small town and there's not a lot of people around, and that's why. And bullshit. So then he says he went to the apartment and he thought he just had a really bad hangover, and then he started looking up the symptoms of a brain bleed, and he ended up having them. So he was like, oh, I must go to the hospital. And so this is where he ended up at this special neurologist hospital, supposedly in Spain, where he got a brain scan, and which I've never seen, by the way. I've never seen any documents, anything confirming literally at all that he was actually at the hospital. He had 5 bleeds on his brain. One minute he's like crying because he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna live, and then the next minute he's screaming down the phone with me saying, you're a fucking crazy bitch, and like, you're an absolute cunt, you fucking ruined my fucking whole trip, this is all your fault, like, I'm gonna die because of you, because you forced me to go on this trip. And I was like, nobody forced you to get absolutely hammered, or my theory is that he pissed someone off and then he got beat up, or he was trying to get his escorts and was a disrespectful, disgusting little creep, and then someone beat the shit out of him. But I didn't do any of that. I was in a whole ass other country than you, okay? I was like in Ireland and you were in Spain. Fuck. And I'm trying to think, like, all right, so he's in, and I'm still in the domestic violence shelter, by the way. And at this point, he knows that I'm in the shelter, screaming down the phone at me. And then when he's not on the phone at me, I have text messages from the time that he was in the hospital. Like, I have the specific dates of when he was in the hospital that he told me. And apparently it was like 7 days, 6 or 7 days. Sending me all this abuse, sending me paragraphs and paragraphs of the most horrific shit that you probably would have seen in my other video of me explaining, like, fat, ugly tramp, dirty, smelly cunt, like, go kill yourself kind of shit. So I was, like, trying to put 2 and 2 together, and I was like, okay, so you got some brain bleeds, right? Like, how are you screaming at me? And how are you sending all these, like, crazy long paragraphs and paragraphs of abuse? How are you doing any of this right now? What are you talking about when you're literally sending me all this abuse? Meanwhile, I'm in a domestic violence shelter having a literal panic attack because he's not really giving me a lot of details, and he won't give me the name of the hospital. He won't, like, really let me know what's going on. It's more like, if I do something for him, then he'll give me more information type thing. Like, and I'm just, like, completely, like, freaked out, like, thinking, like, holy shit. Like, at that point, like, I'm so trauma bonded to him still. Like, it's, like, a miracle that I'm still in the domestic violence shelter and not on, like, on a freaking plane to Spain to, like, try to save him from this terrible tragedy or whatever. I'm, like, a wreck, like, thinking, oh my God, like, he's gonna die. Like, I didn't want this to happen. Like, this is not what I wanted. And, like, I'm just thinking that this whole thing is my fault. That he's gonna die and it's all my fault.